Well, it's about time we can start today's session. Uh, as you know, we started this session 15 days back on 10th of July. This is our 15th day and perhaps the last day for session on electromagnetic theory and waves. So let me share my screen first and we can start the session. So Tekut says host had disabled me, so I request Madhurima to give me the host access so that I can share my screen. So Madhurima, if you are there, then please give me access to share my screen. Well, Madhurima is not there. I should give her a call. So Madhurima is not picking up the phone, and unless and until she doesn't give me access, I cannot share my screen. Yeah, I got the access. I hope she has given it. Great. Fine. So I will start sharing my screen. Hope my screen is visible and I am audible to everyone. So as I was saying, this is our 15th day, and we started this lecture series 15 days back on 10th of July. I started with coordinate system and yeah, Madhurima. Yeah, yeah, I got that. Right, I got it. Huh. No, that's fine. That's fine. I got it. Access is there. I have started with it. Yeah, okay. Okay. So as you know, I started the session with some vector algebra, then I have done coordinate system, then finally I have done some operators and various mathematical tools I have explained in first three lectures. Then I have started with electrostatics, explained the concept of electric charges, their fields, flux, then potential energy, and kinetic energy, motion of charges, and all sort of electrostatic phenomena. It took somewhat about 9 or 10 days to complete electrostatics. And as per my experience, I feel like somewhat about 10 days are required to cover magnetostatics, and somewhat about 15 days will be required to cover electromagnetic fields. So it's a vast course, and no one can complete it within this couple of weeks, like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. It takes a particular semester to complete the entire course one by one. So anyways, I tried my level best to complete electrostatics at least with complete depth. And I have started magnetostatics yesterday. And I want to give you some fundamental concepts of electromagnetostatics, which I have already given. So I will start with the point where I have stopped. And then gradually I will give you some more concept of magnetostatics. And that will be end from my side for today. So let me open my presentation. Great. So in our yesterday session, if you recall, we have talked about magnetic field, we have talked about magnetic flux, and we have also talked about movement of a charge in magnetic field, and we have done some numericals based on that. What will be the magnetic field at a particular point, instant, and all sort of things we have done. And I was trying to give you application of magnetic field. where do we actually use magnetic field to find out some values. I have given you this concept of perpendicular electric and magnetic field and how you can make a charge to move in a constant velocity, nullifying the electric field. I'm supposed to give an example yesterday, but today I will start with that example. So the most common example of this magnetic field is mass spectrometer. Mass spectrometer, I hope everyone would have heard about spectrometry, mass spectrometry. This concept is very, very useful when we need to find out mass of a particular charge which is unknown. So I will try to relate all the concepts of magnetic field as well as potential, that how we have used the concept of potential difference to give acceleration to the charge, and then gradually see what will happen to the charge when it is in a particular uniform magnetic field. So I will start this example of mass spectrometry with the idea that you know what is the force on a charge which is moving in a magnetic field. You know what is potential difference. You know the charge polarity, and you know all the concept what I have said till date. So let us see how it is. So mass spectrometer consists of a region, as you can see, this is the region which has uniform magnetic field. This uniform magnetic field is already present because of two magnetic fields or vice versa. There is a particular charge. This charge material, whether we call it as ion or something else, they, they get inside this magnetic field with a constant velocity. And you know, because of this velocity of charge, there will be some force exerted on this. And due to this force, the path of this charge will be in circular motion, and we have done calculations for finding out the radius as well as the distance between these two. So once I know the radius, you can find out what will be the mass of this particular charge item. That is what we will be doing. So let us start with the first segment and second segment. So as you can see, one is mass spectrometer, which is the inside part and the outside part. First requirement is that we should give some amount of uniform acceleration to the charge, and because of this acceleration, this charge will move with some velocity inside this. So first target is to produce a charge, and that charge should get some sort of acceleration, and that should enter in this particular region with certain amount of velocity. So that is our requirement. So I divide this problem of mass spectrometer into two regions, first region and second region. Can you give me just 1 minute? I will come back. Just 1 minute. Nothing, sir. Someone was there. So I have defined this problem in two segments. First segment, which is outside of this particular geometry, and another segment where charge will move with uniform velocity. So for finding out mass of a charge, this is very important concept, and I have to deal with it step by step so that you can understand how to find out the mass. So I need a charge which should go inside this particular box, which has uniform magnetic field with certain amount of velocity. So our requirement is a source is producing some sort of charge, and the charge gains some sort of acceleration because of delta B. So we have potential. Because of this potential, I will have this charge in particular this direction, and on the basis of acceleration, there will be some amount of velocity for this charge which will move in this uniform magnetic field. So that is what we will do. So first we will try to accelerate the charge, and then we will try to calculate what will be the velocity inside this magnetic field. So we have already done x equals to 2r and r equals to mv upon qb. That is what we already know, where m is the mass of the charge, v is the velocity of charge, q is the charge over that particular object, and b is magnetic field. So this r is nothing but capital R over here. X is 2r, as you can see. So we know inside, when this charge object with certain mass, when it goes inside, these two things you can calculate. You can calculate x and r. That we already know. Suppose if I know value of r, then we can find out value of mass. We are looking for mass because this application is mass spectrometry. So I will discretize into two parts. There are some points, some values are given. X value is already given of the plate, that is 1.75. Uniform magnetic field is 10 Tesla, millitesla, and the acceleration potential is 1000 volt. So as I was saying, I will discretize the geometry into two parts. So let me concentrate on the first part. So the first part is, we have a source, we have potential difference, and we have a charge. So this charge should move with some acceleration, and this should have a velocity by which it will enter inside. So if ions are boiling off a source filament, then their initial velocity direction will be almost random. So if there is a source which is producing some sort of ions, the overall velocity will be somewhat about zero. So average velocity is going to be zero. So let us assume that the ions start at rest. So whatever the charge is, that is going to start from the rest position over here. So what will happen? Suppose this is the positive charge which is at the motion of rest, and because of this delta V, what energy, that is final energy minus initial energy, will be equivalent to work done to move that charge from initial to final. So that is the concept I am going to apply in this part. Let us see how it works. So we can say final kinetic energy plus final minus initial kinetic energy plus initial potential energy. So potential energy initial and final we have done will be equivalent to work done. Now in this case, the work done is only because of the potential difference. That's why work done by the other force is going to be zero. I also said that the charge is at the rest position at the starting of the source. So initial kinetic energy is also going to be zero. So what we have, Kf equals to minus Uf, final potential minus initial potential. And this is nothing but the difference between the potential energy. Now you know this formula into minus Q delta V, because delta V is already there. Because of that delta V, we have this, and kinetic energy equals to half mv square. So we can relate this. Kinetic energy is equivalent to half mv square, which is equivalent to minus Q delta V. I can simply transpose the terms, and I can find out the velocity by which the charge particle, whatever the charge of the particle is, it will enter inside the uniform magnetic field. Remember, there are two terms for this. Delta V, the capital V stands for potential difference. Small v stands for the speed or velocity of that velocity of the charge which is entering the uniform. What I can do now, I can start with the what will happen to the charge. So let's focus on the magnetic field region of the diagram. So I have removed the left part. So now I have the condition charge which is entering this particular so passes through of that the path of the motion. So that is what it will take place. So we have the mathematics for this. You know, velocity vector will be here, so force vector will be downwards. You can apply left hand rule or right hand rule, whatever rule you apply, you can find out the direction of force and you can find out direction of velocity. So velocity and magnetic field are perpendicular, and from you can see from this right hand rule, we can say force will be towards downward. So now I have force, I have velocity, I have charge. So force equals to ma, and the acceleration for the charged particle or a particle moving in circular motion is v square upon r, where r is the radius of the circular path traced by the charge item. Fb is this, and also we know force equals to qv into v, where v is velocity, b is magnetic field. So I can write it as sine 90. You know, sine 90 in this case is going to be 1. So I can equate both the sides. So FB due to MA and FB due to QV into B, that both are going to be equal because we have the maximum force over here, and that both the forces should be equivalent. So from here, I can transpose the term and I can find out the R, where R is the radius of this circular path. If I know R, we can put all things together. We know velocity from this particular calculation. We know R from here. So I can write m r square equals to this value. So finally I can transpose all the terms and I can find out that R, which is the radius of the circular path, will be equivalent to minus 2 delta V, where delta V is potential across these terminals, m is the mass of the charged particle, q is the charge of the particle, and b is the magnetic field in the spectrum. Further, if you recall, I was discussing about mass of that charge atom. So you can have the formula for R. On transposing the term, I can get simply mass will be this way. So we can find out mass of a particular object or particular charge, which is at a particular velocity inside a magnetic field. That is what the formula says. Now, if you recall, mass is directly proportional to the magnetic field, inversely proportional to potential, and directly proportional to the radius and vice versa. I am giving you some standard values of charge. So suppose charge is of a proton, that is 1.6023 into 10 to the power 19 coulombs. Delta V is the potential difference, which is minus 1000 volts. V is the magnetic field, which is 80 millitesla, and R, which is the distance, or you call it this. This is an external parameter. We already know this. So R is nothing but 0.8779 meters. Simply keep the value, you will get the mass of this particular charge atom, charge particle. Now I have considered proton over here. So mass is going to be this. And if you convert one atomic mass unit equals to 1.66 into 10 to the power minus 26 kg. So if you write in terms of atomic mass unit, then mass is 238.04 units. So the mass of this charge atom, which is moving with a uniform velocity, is equivalent to 238.04 atomic mass. Now, if you recall, what is this material? Can someone comment? What type of atoms we are dealing with if mass is 238? I hope you might have heard about it. Is nothing but uranium-238, which is a radioactive atom. So we deal in mass spectrometry to find out what will be the atomic mass of some unknown object which is produced from a source. In this case, we have done for the case of uranium, which is having a mass of 238 atomic mass units. Of and fundamentally, magnetic fields are used in such places where we have many radioactive atoms. So if you have any questions, please go ahead with the questions. Otherwise, I will go ahead with the last segment for this. So I hope no questions as usual. I will go for the day 15 and I will sum up the things.